For my project, I chose to analyze the religious dimensions of wrestling. Wrestling has morphed into many different forms that are known today. Some of these forms might be familiar to you, while others you may have never heard about. Wrestling is an umbrella term, but some of the most common types are folk style, freestyle, Greco-Roman, judo, and sambo. While each style has slightly different techniques and rules, the underlying principles and values are identical. The concept of wrestling can be traced back as far as 3400 BCE to drawings in caves from some of the earliest civilizations, specifically ancient Greece and Egypt. Once recognized as the oldest forms of combat, the sport has changed and adapted over time, just as religions have evolved and been translated to modern society. In the ancient Olympics, wrestlers were considered the ultimate heroes of the games. While the brutality of the sport has diminished, its practice and participation has evolved. Today, wrestling is a sport that is commonly practiced in most high schools and colleges, the Olympics, and can even be seen as a comedic entertainment through the platform of WWE. The origins of wrestling relate to sports as religion because it dates back to the earliest civilizations and provides many of the same principles and fundamentals that religion provides. Almost every civilization has had some form of wrestling where two individuals competed in an unarmed contest in which usually men would show off their masculinity, tactical ability, and strength. Gifted athletes are the spectacle of wrestling, and it is the exchanges between the wrestlers and the crowd that make the sport so unique. Oftentimes, wrestling brings together a group of diverse people, just as various religions can bring together people from different backgrounds. If you look into the stands at a wrestling tournament, you will often see both women and men of varying ages with different cultures, values, and backgrounds. They are all engaged on the match that is occurring within the ring on the center of the mat. For the 3 rounds of the match, or until the opponent is pinned, it seems as if the entire audience is connected with the athletes. It takes a gifted coach to anticipate what move the opponent is going to do next. Throughout the match, the coach as well as the people from the stands and your fellow athletes are yelling different moves to do. It takes a gifted athlete to interpret all the directions throughout the match and make the best move out of it. Ceremonial exchange is another important dimension in the origins of the sport and its development. Ceremonial exchange is focused on exchanges that occur between the self and others, and this correlation is evident in wrestling. Within the sport of wrestling, there are varying exchanges that occur between coaches, food, and external awards. Food is very important to the sport of wrestling as well as fasting. Before wrestling matches, athletes often fast to make weight before the match. After they weigh in, food is an important part. The athlete then eats nourishing food to prepare their body and mind. Another form of exchange is with the reward system in wrestling. Unless it is a major tournament, most wins lack physical nature and are exchanged between the coach, team, and audience. For most people, wrestling provides a sense of self-worth and accomplishment. A single winner can be crowned from a pool of competitors. One of the most important aspects of this is that it is up to the wrestler to determine the amount of effort and determination they want to exhaust and provide to develop their gifts. While wrestling is a team sport, when you are on the mat, everything you need to do and prepare for is in the spotlight. Whether it is lifting weights at night in the gym or running the track on the weekends, one's success is the direct result of their effort. This also occurs in religion with an individual's level of faith. It is left up to the individual to determine how close they want to be with their respective god or leader. As a gifted athlete, it takes more than physical endurance to be successful. It can be said that most wrestling matches are won or lost before the athletes step on the mat. One must also develop emotionally and mentally. I feel that this is specifically true to the sport of wrestling. When 2 athletes are at the same physical and skill level, it comes down to emotional and mental strength. Wrestling includes a set of rules or practices that are meant to be followed, similarly to most religions today, that have their own practices, ethics, and code of conduct. These rules are governed and enforced by the referee. While the rules differ for each form or style of wrestling, there is a level of integrity and respect that is expected. There are other rules that are enforced to prevent violations. Some of these are based on illegal holds, technical violations, flagrant misconduct, stalling, and unnecessary roughness. Therefore, I can argue that wrestling in itself acts as a form of religion. Wrestling holds people responsible and to a higher standard while offering an emotional outlet. Although a sport, wrestling is about the values and lessons it instills in its participants. Wrestling can transform a weak or lost individual and provide them with a sense of greater development and prepare each wrestler for various challenges they may face throughout their life. One of the greatest takeaways is that, like life, wrestling is an individual sport. Ultimately, the result of one's actions fall upon their shoulders. This lesson, as well as other values you learn through wrestling, will stay with one throughout their life and provides the same guidance and structure as religion.